3 indications that you are stuck at a revenue ceiling in your business, or you're about to be, and exactly what you can do about it. Number 1, all the questions come to you. They all come up the ladder, up the chain to you as the business owner. And this might not be a problem if you've got 1 team member, 2 team members. So we tend to, without realizing as business owners, we tend to cultivate this. And often it's because we're a little bit too controlling, we won't let go, we got our sticky little fingers and beak in every piece of the business, and even when we give parts of the business to people, we kind of don't fully hand it over. It's like we handed it over and we're still kind of clinging on and having a tug of war with them, right? And so because of that, your team members feel a little bit unsettled, a little bit unsure, a little bit uncertain about making a decision, actually thinking about something. They've got the capability to, of course, but as soon as something they don't know 100%, even if they know it 95%, they'll tend to come to you. And ordinarily, it's because we've trained them to do it by not actually empowering them not to do it. So really important as a business owner. At the moment, it might not seem like a big deal. As you scale your business, it becomes a really big deal. About 2 years ago, I literally fell out of love with my business. We were doing pretty well. We had loads of members. We were making good money. But I'd got to a point where I was getting 30 to 50 WhatsApp messages every single day, even on the weekends. And I was having to answer every single one. And then I'd answer like 40 of those messages, say I'd get in the day. And 20 of them would require me to make a decision, which is very fatiguing to your brain if you've got to keep making decisions for people. Some of them were big challenges were coming up that I had to get involved in and try and figure those out. And at a minimum, they all needed the response. And then a bunch of them would respond back. And then I'd have to respond back again. And I became just a pretty well-paid, miserable WhatsApp pro. I spent most of my working life just dealing with questions and challenges on WhatsApp. So that's where this problem leads to. So currently, an indicator that you're stuck or you're about to get stuck is if everyone brings their questions to you. That's a big problem for the business. You're not empowering leaders in your team. You're not empowering people, giving them autonomy to make decisions and push things forwards and drive things. So you end up in that place where you're the WhatsApp pro like I was and not enjoying life and not enjoying your business in any way, shape or form. Here's a really simple fix for it. I learned this from my mentor, Dan Martell. I picked up his book, read it a couple of years ago when I was struggling, and learned this really simple tool that I use all the time now, and it's the 1-3-1 method. Really simple. The 1 is you train your team before you get to come and ask me a question. Before you think about, hey Tim, hey boss, I have a question again. Before you let them get to that stage, they have to have run their thought process through a 1-3-1. The 1 is, what's the 1 question you want to ask or the 1 thing you want to get clarity on? Because often your team will come and kind of waffle or dump multiple things at once, just because they've got stuff rattling around their brain. They go blah, 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 and they don't really articulate what it is they want to know. So we train your team member before they're allowed to come and speak to you, this is really important, that they have to articulate the 1 issue, the 1 question that they have clearly before they can bring it to you. They also have to do the 3, which is the second step. They have to articulate and think about and contemplate 3 good answers to the question themselves. Super important part of the process. What this is doing, of course, is actually making them stop and think. Because most people in your team, because you've encultured it and trained them to do it without realizing, they just knee-jerk into asking. Hey, blah, 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 blah. They'll just shout questions all the time on WhatsApp or in the office, on text, and not bother thinking for themselves. Why would they? Because they got an instantaneous answer right here. So when we get them to articulate the question. The first stage is the 1, articulate the question you want to ask. The second stage, give me 3 answers to that question, 3 good possibilities. The third part then, the 1 on the end, so it's the 1-3-1. The 1 on the end is which one would you choose? And so when you make your team member do that before they get to you, here's my experience. My 40 WhatsApp messages a day went down to about 4. I literally got rid of about 90% of the messages, which was the most amazing eye-opener for me. I realized I had been creating this culture. I had been encouraging people to just turn to me every time they had a question about anything. And I'd got it to such a point in the culture where people would ask me things they knew. Like I would give them the training or the answer before, and they'd still come back a month later and ask me the question. I was like, you know that, we talked about it a month ago. But I had so encultured and so trained my team to just, Tim's there on WhatsApp, anytime, any question. and I made myself miserable, and really importantly, I disempowered my team. What happened when I changed that was A, I started getting like 90% less messages, absolute hallelujah, loved it. But B, really importantly, my team started to actually then articulate and think these things through for themselves rather than just getting a quick answer that was easy. So they would have to think, they would have to articulate it down to the specifics, like really clear question, really good training for their brains as well, for their leadership and development. Then they would have to come up with 3 answers. Again, great, they'd have to sit and contemplate. And the rule for that as well, really important, it has to be 3 good answers. You don't just make up 3 nonsense, rubbish answers just because you want to get the process done so you can come and ask me the question. I'll want to hear 3 good options to the answer to that question before you get to speak to me. And then the third bit, which one of those 3 would you choose? And then 9 times out of 10, they won't even come to you because they've thought it through, they've done the work, they've articulated, they've contemplated, they've probably spoken to someone else about it, and they've got to a good conclusion. And then the rest of the time when they do come, 9 times out of 10, I agree with the answer they've given. Because it ain't rocket science most of the time, it's just bad habits that you've inculcated into your team. Number 2, all challenges and all fires that need putting out come on up the ladder to you. This is another sound indicator that you are either stuck or about to get stuck at a revenue ceiling that you won't be able to break through, and you're going to fatigue yourself and burn out and get stuck in what I call swamp 1 and not be able to break through to the million or anywhere near it. And that is every single time there's any type of issue whatsoever, and in business, of course, there always are issues, that it gets kicked up the chain to you. And again, just like with number 1, all the questions come to you, all the challenges coming to you is, again, it's just what you've trained and encultured your team to do. Because when a team member comes to you with a challenge and you give them the answer and solve the problem for them, you've just taught them that that's what I do every time I have a challenge, every time I don't understand something or it's difficult in some way, I'll take it to Tim, I'll take it to the owner, they'll fix it. So every time you do it, we're just training them. And it took me a long time to realize this. I used to have all the challenges, all the fires come to me. The solution to this then becomes for us as business owners that we have to empower our team, and we have to do it very clearly and concisely. Like, clarity is critical, giving them clear responsibilities and roles, clear designation of how they can fix problems. For example, if there's a financial issue to sort, you probably need to put some limits in place. I remember a funny story a few years ago when I had a lady doing all my kit for me, and I gave her carte blanche to order whatever she wanted. I just didn't think to put a restriction on how much she could order at once. And then we ended up with about 75 grand's worth of kit in our storeroom waiting to be sold to our members. And even though we turn over some good money, that is a ridiculous amount of kit for us to be holding on to that wasn't being sold to members, right? So you need to define for your team member what decisions they can make, but you need to empower them and give them some sense of autonomy. The reason we struggle with that as business owners is that sense of control. And when you allow team to make decisions, they're absolutely not going to make what you think is the perfect decision every time. They're not going to make what is objectively the right decision every time. They're going to make mistakes. But that's how they learn. And we as owners, it's really tricky, but we've got to train ourselves to just step back a little bit, allow them the space to breathe and think for themselves, allow them to make decisions, allow them to face challenges and figure out how to overcome them, even if it wasn't quite how you would have done it, and even if it's not perfectly how you would have wanted it. We allow them to do it so that they can learn from that experience, reflect, learn, and develop and grow. But again, the trick as the owner is we've got to make sure that we're not training them that come to me. So when you do the 1-3-1 for the questions, and then you start to train people that they go away and figure out how to overcome the challenge, when you do those things, what you'll find is initially they will follow your lead. And then after 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, they might start to slip back into bringing the questions and the challenges directly to you again. So a big part of this process is not a towel once to your team. It's not a one-time training thing. You've got to monitor it, and you've got to work on you and not let you get dragged back in. So when you've set the 1-3-1 in place, you've got to then have the discipline that when they come to you and they haven't done the 1-3-1, you don't answer the question. It's like, nope, you go do your 1-3-1, or you go and figure out how to overcome that challenge. Then if you need me after that, then you can come talk to me. And on to number 3 is that all growth, all evolution, all betterment, all action to make things grow, expand, get better, etc., has to be pushed and motivated and driven by you. And if that's the case, that's a sure sign, no doubt, that you're either stuck already or you're about to get stuck in the swamp and hang out there for a long old time if you don't overcome this issue. So think about your business for a moment. Let's say marketing. Like, is there a system where it just happens without any input from you? Or do you have to tell someone when to put the ads on? Or do you have to put them on yourself? Do you have to go and book the promo stands? Do you have to go to the printer and get the things printed? Or do you have to tell the person to go do it? And when results aren't quite where you want them to be, is someone driving it to be better? Or do you need to step in and make that person drive it to be better? If you want to improve any process in your business, does that all come down to you? Is it always about you having to go and do the work and push the team, even if you've got a team? Do you have to go push the team and get them to do the work? Is everything that you want to make better, evolve, develop, get better results, give a better service to the students, refine, tweak? If all of those things, if for anything to happen, you have got to do the pushing and the driving and the striving to make it happen, that's a sign that you're stuck. So the way out of that comes back to empowering your team. Is what are you training your team to do and think like and behave like? And so you want to start looking at every team member, whether they're a part-time, free of charge, do a couple of hours for you for nothing, or they're a full-time professional in your organization or anything in between. You want to think about creating clear parameters. Clarity is everything. What is their role? What is their responsibility? What's the scorecard they're being measured by, or the KPIs they're being measured by? What results must they attain and achieve as the person directing that? And then train them and enculture them with this idea that their job is to make that department better. Their job isn't just to do it and do the basics. Their job is to do the fundamentals, follow the standard operating procedures, structure that role properly, but also then to evolve it, to constantly be looking at AI and software and systems and new trainings and learnings so that they can actually expand that department for you, whether it's signups, whether it's marketing, whether it's teaching, whatever it is. You want to build a culture of what I call CONNEG, constant and never-ending growth. I've even got it on my t-shirt, like, never stop growing. You want to build a culture of CONNEG, where every person who's operating in your business gets it, and you keep reminding that culture and that value that our job is to constantly and never-ending to just keep growing. And that means very specifically and objectively with our department. If we're getting a 10% something there, we want to get it to 20. If we're doing X, Y, Z there, we want to push it to the next level. And you've got to build that culture. But when you build it, then the magic starts to happen. So there you have it. Those are your 3 indicators. So really simply, if you can train your team to stop coming to you with every question, they can think for themselves, they can do the 1-3-1 process, golden. Then you train your team to stop coming to you with every challenge. You empower them and you allow them to figure out how to overcome challenges. If it's a big challenge and they need to rope you back in, so be it. But you empower them to think for themselves. And here's how you do it. Initially, they'll come to you and say, look, I've got this challenge. Question how they might solve it. Don't just give them the answer. We need to train them to become solvers of the problems. Not only do you get it out of your way so you can build the business, you empower and make them so much more powerful as employees for your business. It's such a big win-win. It's so important. And thirdly, empower your team, whether they're part-time, couple of hours a week, 20 hours a week, full-time professional. Empower them to always be thinking about how they can develop their role, make it better, get better, develop the business, support the business more, get them thinking along those lines. And when you achieve those 3 things, now you're not gonna get stuck. Why? Because you've freed up so much headspace, so much bandwidth, and so much time from your diary. Now you can elevate yourself through the rungs of the growth ladder. If you want to see the growth ladder, I've done another training on that on my YouTube channel. Go and find the training that says growth ladder, where I show you who and in which order to actually bring into the team, like which roles to get sorted first. But that ladder, what it'll also do is show you which roles you need to elevate yourself into next as you grow and expand your business. But before you can do that, you've got to free up your time, your headspace, your focus, your bandwidth, so that you can be the leader and push the business forwards. There you have it. Simple training, but super powerful. If you want my support in growing your business, go check out the other trainings I have here on my YouTube channel, and I'll see you in another one real soon.